Hey, good morning. This is Corey with Creative Habitats Landscaping. I was reviewing your design this morning with Christy, and she was telling me a little bit about some of the requests that you had. One of those was railroad ties. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about this, and the reason why is railroad ties, although these cost less money for materials, they are extremely difficult to work with because of the creosote in them. When we cut railroad ties, we will pretty much, on a job your size, we would probably put in that estimate about 10, and I'm not being overemphasizing here, we would probably put 10 chainsaw blades in there along with a bunch of half-inch paddle bits to drill through this. And the reason why is railroad ties are an extremely hard material that are very, very difficult to work with. So these are just examples that I pulled off of Pinterest of railroad ties and what they look like. The other thing about these is they have a certain lifespan. Usually when we get a railroad tie, it's already sort of old, and then we put it in your landscape to let it only get older. So another option is to use treated lumber. This is a much easier material to work with. We could probably spec 2 blades in a job your size for these versus 10. And as you can see, just the reason why I would use paddle bits. You see here where you drill. We drill in there. We always put about 3 places, pound rebar in. So those are the things that we have to work with in dealing with railroad ties and rough or treated lumber. When we start getting into stone steps, no doubt these cost more material cost, but they're much less labor intensive to build. And these are forever. You're already working with a material that's probably a couple thousand years old. But we have done jobs that look just like this. I got this off Pinterest, but we have plenty of jobs where we've done this work with. I just got these in for a job that we're doing right now. This is the actual material that we use to build steps with. We also have there's the pallet right here. We also have other materials that we can incorporate into the design of a job that we can really make this job look very, very interesting. Let me talk to you also about design. I typed in Victoria era house plans. We have a room for the foyer. We have a room for the den. We have a room for the living room. We have a room for the dining room. We have a room for the kitchen. All of these are spaces that have been divided up. New era of design is everything is one large room. And the reason why I'm showing you this is a much more efficient concept that allows the space of that layout to be essentially more useful and more open. Which is why I recommend having a fire pit area here, another area here, and another area up here. Put everything at the top. And let me emphasize, we are happy to do whatever you request for us to do. But I also want to do everything I can to just educate you on options and spend your money as wisely as possible to give you the best product possible. So what I've drawn in here is a winding staircase that goes up to a top level hangout area. And the reason why I put it at the top is essentially, if you think about mountains and valleys, the common people are in the valley and the rich person builds their big old house on top of the mountain. This is where the cool view happens. It's a totally different experience up here than when you're down here. The other reason for this layout is you could do a straight shot. It just lacks some of the ambiance of having this winding staircase. But if I put just the entry over here, it seems a little bit off balance. This is why I put this area right here. Let's look in reality at what some of those spaces look like. This is a little bit of an example of how the top area would feel, with the exception that it's a half crescent versus a full circle. Materials that we could use for the wall. This is a manufactured retaining wall block, but it looks very, very natural. Same thing here. We do a lot of stone though, and these are just examples. This is Tennessee fieldstone. We work with this material all the time. Let's look a little bit closer up here. So this is the feel that we could build that space into having. We could have some planting areas. We could build the wall out of boulders. Got your fire pit in there. That's a little bit of the feel. The trees that we could use, looking back here, I would very much recommend these trees because this is a south facing slope and it's going to be very, very hot. So I would recommend doing trees like what you see here, or Japanese maples like what you see here. And the reason for that, it will make that space cooler. It also allows you to create beautiful ambiance with uplighting in that space, in your entertaining space on top of the hill. Let's talk about the pathway here. So in its beginning, it would just be hardscape pathway, but other things can be added to create a little bit more of a cool foresty feel to it. Let me talk about this space in here. So again, the purpose of this is to add balance. This is our center axis. We've got this space over here. We have this space over here. In this area here would just be a feature like what you see in this photo. Things that we can do to this, it could just be perennials. We could do cut flowers in here. We could add gladiolus, amaryllis, Peruvian daffodils, Easter lilies. We could make this into a really fun, exciting space. Notice the bird bath. You could add in a lot of wildlife attracting things that would add butterflies, hummingbirds, bees. Bees are going to be interested in the nectar, not in stinging you. But we can create a very, very interesting and eloquent space in there. So, also, I asked Christy, hey, Christy, do they have any kids? How old are they? And Christy's like, they think their kids are grown, but they want a slide. We can do a slide too. This is a little bit more of an expensive option. What I would recommend for your hillside is to excavate it so that you can put down pond liner, and then you would have the most ultimate amazing slipping slide ever, and it would be a lot more affordable than this. So those are a couple thoughts that I wanted to throw out there for you to think of. We're happy to do whatever you want us to do, but I do want to take the experience that I have from other jobs and give you some choices of options for that area. Thank you so much, Corey with Creative Habitats Landscaping.